right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. This one is a big one. I'm super excited about this. We have an absolute legend with us, Supercar Ron. How you doing?
Dude, I am so good, and I'm so happy to host you guys here, man.
Appreciate it. This is we're in Batman's like lair, whatever you want to call it. This warehouse is insane. We've seen some cars that I probably have never even heard of, so appreciate that. So what kind of got you into the car thing? Like, let's just start off super easy.
So, dude, I have pictures from when I'm like 1 or 2 years old, and I'm double fisting Hot Wheels cars in my hands, dude. So it's a little bit of a hereditary thing. Like, my grandpa was a hardcore car guy. I'd go over to his house. He'd have like Motor Trend and Car and Driver and all these cool car magazines. And I'd just sit in his house and I'd read about cars as like a little kid. And then my dad was a car guy, and I'm obviously like it's a hobby, but at my core, like, I have a house because I have a wife and kids. If I didn't have a wife and kids, I'd live in this. You know what I mean? And that's like, I think a lot about cars, dude. When you guys are screwing around on the internet at night, just surfing mindlessly or whatever, I'm looking at cars. Like, that's what I do. So I love cars. Most importantly, I love the experiences you can have in cars.
We walked in here and I was stunned because, like I said, never seen probably half of these cars in my entire life. And Dylan's over here just geeking, and he's like, I'm ready. I know what this is. I know this is. I know this is. I was like, I'm not the car guy, but I'm super excited to like learn more about you because I know you have such a big impact on the community, and you're such an icon in the car community as well. So
thanks, appreciate that. Thanks.
I'm just curious. I mean, I've followed along since you started social media, started posting. How did you kind of create the persona Supercar Ron from Utah Supercar Owner as your original name?
So Supercar Ron came about because I didn't want to be isolated to just a geography. So I was Utah Supercar Owner, but really what happened, I never had social media until like 4 years ago. I wound up selling a business that I built over 16 years. And they say when you come into money, it just magnifies who you are. So if you're charitable, you're even more charitable. If you're an a-hole, you're even a bigger a-hole. And I was a car guy, right? And so I always kind of tried to drive a nice car. Like, I just cared a lot about cars. And so, sell my business. I was out at the racetrack one day and somebody said, dude, why don't you ever post like some of your car adventures? Cause you're always doing like rallies and racetrack and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll do that. And so I did just a couple of posts on a couple of different cars that I owned. And it like kind of blew up. It was like, oh my gosh, like, we've seen you driving around. We didn't know who you were, and I did like a review on a Carrera GT, and I did a review on whatever else. And pretty soon, I think I knew nothing about social media at the time, but I went from like 0 to 20,000 people following me on Instagram really quickly, actually. And so it kind of went viral. And that's, when I met and hired Tace, who's my car manager, and he does all my content for me. And, in the last, I think we're like 2.5 years in, we went from 20,000, and now I have about, I think I'm at 1.2 million across my channels. But dude, it's been a wild ride, but so fun. I've met so many cool people like you guys, right? Like, if I didn't have social media, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today with you guys.
No, yeah, we appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Would you say that now that you've gotten into the supercars, and I see you do a lot of car meets, you do a lot of charity meets, would you say that like cars have ever gotten you an opportunity or in a room that money per se couldn't?
Absolutely, 100%. And I didn't believe that before, but car guys, it's an interesting kind of culture. One, they are the most charitable group of people that I have ever met. And part of starting up my social media is my wife and I, we have our own family foundation where we support children's health initiatives largely. And so we propped up our own wing of Primary Children's Hospital. Like, we've spent a lot of time and effort and years of our lives kind of trying to have a positive impact in the community. And when Supercar Ron kind of took off, I'm like, dude, I wonder if we can do it like a car meet or an event or something where we can raise money. And so I did a couple of these like car unveilings, right? So I had a Koenigsegg come in, I had a Pagani come in, and it was like, anybody that wants to see this car, it's at least $20, right? And it wasn't for me. I think it was the Utah Foster Care Foundation, if I remember correctly. It's either foster care or Make-A-Wish. I'm trying to remember which one we did first, and I kind of trade off between those two. But dude, I raised like $10,000 with one Instagram post.
Oh wow!
And I was like, holy crap! Like,
Wow.
there's a thing here, dude. What I have learned through the car community specifically is everybody wants to do good. They just don't know where to go to do it. And so me using my platform to host fundraisers, like December, I raised $481,000 just through Instagram for the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
That is
You know?
crazy.
And dude, it's wild, right? Like almost $500,000 in a less than 30-day period. Continental and Roush, they gave me an $80,000 truck to give away to somebody that donated to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Like the whole thing has kind of come full circle. But dude, I have professional athletes following me. I have race car drivers following me. I have actresses and actors following me now. Like, dude, and some of the coolest people, and those doors have been opened specifically because of the car community. Like I've been able to meet all these people that I probably wouldn't have been able to meet otherwise.
Speaking on that, who do you think is one of the coolest people you've met through all of this?
Oh boy, I'll point out a couple people. I've met MJ before. Super cool dude. Actually, he's the nicest guy. I don't care what anybody says. He's a super nice guy. I have a buddy who's a professional golfer that is a huge car guy, and his name's Ian Poulter. He has a large Ferrari collection. Also does a ton of good. He raises like $2 million. I support his charity initiative. So I go down to his house every year. They auction off some cool stuff, and he raises $2 million every year for his charity. I met a guy named Dax, who is it Dax Shepard? Hold on, I gotta look up his name.
The actor?
Yeah, Dax Shepard,
That's
right? Okay, I gotta remember his last name. So I met him. He follows Supercar Ron, and he's a hardcore car guy too, dude. Like hardcore, and he has some really unique vehicles. My wife listens to Dax's podcast, every time they come out with a new episode. So those are kind of some of the famous people behind the scenes. I have a couple of guys that you would never know. Like there was a guy building data centers, and I won't say his name because he's not on social media. He's like this dude from the Midwest, and he has 250 cars in his warehouse. He's got like 6 Pagani Zondas. Those are like $10 million cars. And this dude, and I sat down with him totally unassuming. And he's like, yeah, I run this business. I'm like, wait, I've heard of that business before. He's, yeah, I started it, as a college student, whatever. It's turned into this thing, turned into like a $50 billion business. And then he sold it to private equity, and he's a car guy. And so he's like the coolest dude you will ever meet, and has the most insane car collection that nobody knows about.
That's
Insane.
Yeah. Super cool dude.
I kind of want to go back a little bit. You said you have a car manager. How does that work? Somebody just picks out your cars for you, or how does that kind of work? What's the job description of that? Because I'm kind of curious.
Dude, I get a lot of messages too. It's like, hey, how can I be your car manager? Because I want to drive cool cars around. So I first hired Tace Anderson. You can follow him at Tace Anderson. Because he shot my 488 Pista for Vossen wheels. Vossen sent me a set of wheels. I had this maroon. It was a tailor-made Ferrari 488 Pista Spider. And he took it out to the Salt Flats or Great Salt Lake or whatever, and he shot some insane shots. And so Dusty from Envision here kind of said, I was like, dude, who took these shots? And he's like, let me introduce you. Tace, to his core, is a car guy. And so I knew that if somebody was going to create content for me, they had to love cars, because that shines through in what you do, right? Like if you hate what you do, usually the result is you can tell that you kind of hate what you do, And so, Tace helps me buy, sell cars. He helps me get cars shipped to certain locations. He will help me get cars into service. And he creates all my content. So, when you've got 25 cars in your garage, like they're all on kind of different service cycles and stuff like that. A lot of them will sit. So like that K5 Blazer behind us right now, the top weighs like 600 pounds. So it's not easy to just put on and off. So we just leave it off, right? But I can't drive that on a day like today where it's like raining and snowing outside. So that might sit for 3 months, but then I'll drive it all summer long. And so that it just takes a little bit of coordination to make sure stuff is, up to par and that it's all serviced properly.
So the baseline of it is like you got to have a passion for cars.
if you work for me and you're in this space, and we'll talk about my finance company, but basically, like, I'm looking for car enthusiasts.
That's awesome.
Like you have to love what you do every day.
100%. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the business that you started recently.
Yes. So what's really interesting is I mentioned kind of leveraging my social media platform for good. I identified this issue a number of years ago where I think there's a really big misconception out there. Somebody that's wealthy just pays cash for everything. Sometimes that's not the best use of your funds because you can actually leave it in the market. If you look at the last 3 years of the S&P 500, it was up like 26%, then 23%. And I think this year it's up like 16%. If you pay, 8 or even 10% interest on something, but you leave your money in the market, you're actually outpacing the interest that you pay. So you're making money. And so a lot of wealthy people, and this is their hack, right? They'll actually borrow money to buy stuff because the interest that they're charged is less than they're making on the money that they keep out invested. And so the problem is, if you want to buy this Lamborghini Storado right behind me, that's a $350,000 car. I challenge you to go into your local credit union and say, I need a $350,000 car loan, because they'll be like, sir, we don't do that here. And the vast majority of those traditional financial institutions won't do it. And so I was like, okay, every year in the United States, there's like $30 to $40 billion worth of these types of cars that are transacted. 65% of the people just pay cash for their vehicles, but they don't want to pay cash for their vehicles. So like me, I'd rather keep my money at work, in an investment, in real estate or whatever. I'd rather put some down on a car and just make a monthly payment on it. So that's kind of how Riz Lending was born. I kind of saw an opportunity. There's a couple of businesses that kind of do this out in the space, but the unique aspect of what I do is that I will lend you on a car for up to 20 years. And people are like, oh, that's insane, 20-year car loans. Boats have 20-year loans. RVs have 20-year loans. Those assets go to zero at the end of 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
These cars, that Storado, will maintain the majority of its value over time. The Murcielago behind you, stickered at like 300 grand. Today it's worth $1 million.
Wow.
So like the kind of cars that I lend against are cars that we understand either the depreciation curve, they'll drop a little bit, but then they'll hold value. Or in many cases, our buyers, their cars will go up in value. And because I amortize the length of the loan, I'm getting a little in the weeds here, but because the length of the loan is longer, as opposed to a $7,000 monthly payment, you'll pay $2,500 with me.
Right.
And so you have a car that's going up in value. I'm saving you $4,000 a month in cash flow, and you get to keep most of your money at work in the market. Dude, it's like a win-win-win for
sure.
everybody.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to know, with you being like local here in Utah, do you think that played a part in the creation of your success, or do you think you could have done this exact same thing somewhere else, or do you think Utah was kind of a big part of it?
Bro, Utah has like a magical pull for entrepreneurs, and you guys know this, right? Because you guys have you've developed this amazing platform that will continue to grow and create revenue and create opportunities and everything else over time. Utah, we're very entrepreneurial just as a society here, right? Like all of us want to start something or create something for ourselves. So I worked for the governor of Utah for a number of years as I don't know if I want to throw out the title here, but just because you can easily kind of find me. But I worked advising him on entrepreneurial issues. And so I was an advisor to the governor because I had sold my business. I'd gone back to Harvard Business School, and then I've taught entrepreneurship at the college level for 5 years. And so I'm very, very enthusiastic, and I'm a big supporter of our local entrepreneurial community. But if you think about it, I had a facility in California. The amount of regulation that exists in California basically made it so that I couldn't do anything as a business owner in California. And I grew up in California, by the way. I was a kid in California. I moved here when I was 13. So California, that's where my family's roots were from. Utah is just, we support our entrepreneurs, dude. There's opportunities that exist here in Utah that exist nowhere else. So I love Utah. I plan on dying here in Utah. And Utah's changed over time, good and bad. And we all have problems, right? Utah has its own set of problems, but I promise you go anywhere else, and there's some good states for business. There's some exceptionally terrible states for business. California is on that exceptionally terrible list. But dude, Utah is high on the list for opportunities to drive success for your business. Yeah.
If you had to start over today in Utah, what do you think you would do?
There's a couple things that I kind of tell people. So when you're young, because I was 23 when I started my first business, and that's the business that I ran for 15 years, 16 years, and then sold for a big valuation to private equity. The sky is honestly the limit. Like we kind of I'll give you the perfect example. A couple years into my business partner sat down. He was my best childhood friend. And we're like, dude, wouldn't it be insane if we got this business to $10 million a year? Like it just blew our minds how we were thinking. Like, dude, what if we could get there? Holy cow. Like, we own this business and now it's worth $10 million. Well, we blew through that. And then we sat down one day over lunch. I'm like, dude, what if we could get this to 100 million?
Yeah.
Like, holy cow. I mean, like crazy, right? We blew through that. And then we were like, dude, what if we could make it $1 billion business? And we made it happen. And so like, if I'm advising you guys are at a certain point in your business cycle right now. I think you're in the first inning, dude. You got 8 more innings to go. How do you get there? Like, what do you view? What's the vision for what you think you could accomplish? Like, I read something about Elon Musk yesterday, and he's like, within 5 years, I will be able to fly any of you to the moon. You can just go visit the moon and it won't be astronomical in cost. I'm like, dude, that's within 5 years. Can you imagine? Like, hey, I'm going to go to the moon next week, dude. And like, that's the kind of thinking though. Like, I think that we generally as people are our own limiting factor. So like, what could SLC Scoop become? Could you become the #1 media source in the state of Utah? Can you imagine the value? I mean, you guys could swing political elections, dude. You have so many people following and listening and trusting you guys that you could be the most powerful media force in the state of Utah.
Appreciate that.
And then where do you go, dude? Like you could even go nationally. And so I don't know, when I look at you guys, I see totally untapped potential, and you're already experiencing some success. And when I look at you, I'm like, dude, these guys, watch out, because they will be the most powerful force in the state of Utah.
Thank you. I appreciate that
a lot.
Yeah.
So my background before any of all this stuff was YouTube and kind of that scene. From somebody that also has a YouTube background, what do you think you've noticed change from when you started to where it's at now in terms of content and just the way it kind of works these days?
So consistency is absolutely key. Like, YouTube has to understand that they're going to get a certain amount of content from you at a certain period of time. And they learn that we post once a week. So I post 1 video a week. My biggest mistake that I made with YouTube, and I'm still not sure that I've recovered from it. So it's my smallest channel, but I grow, I don't know, 5,000 to 10,000 subscribers a month right now. I posted a whole bunch of gun stuff early stage. And I think I'm still shadow banned at some level. Dude, I am totally boxed in because I love guns, but you cannot post guns on social media. Like, I have a friend named LaserDim700. Do you guys know who LaserDim is? Do you know who LaserDim is? Bro, he found me. They were driving through Colorado, and I was racing this car behind me out on a frozen lake, and he pulled their RV over, and he came for a ride and with me on the frozen lake. And he's this rapper from, I think, Georgia, like Atlanta or something like that. Every single thing he posts has like an AK-47 in it, dude. And like, so his growth has been totally stunted because social media channels will not promote you if you show guns in your stuff. And so you have to stay within certain guardrails. So create content that people really want to engage with, but there are certain no-go zones on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever. I had a TikTok live going once, and everybody knows I love guns. And one of the questions on TikTok live was, what are you carrying today? So I pulled out my G43X and like the algorithm, like whatever they have on TikTok, it just senses that you're now showing a gun. It stopped my live stream and it said, you are banned from TikTok live streams or whatever they're called for a full week. Like, we'll review your account in a week. And I'm like, dude, that was just automatic. It was within 5 seconds of showing my handgun that it was blocked. Anyway, so I've learned a lot over time. We still have a lot of fun. There's just certain things I can't do on social media. Yeah.
With you having like, I followed and seen, and I mean, just what you've spoken about a little bit, like with guns and hunting and stuff like that, we've seen you push some of these vehicles to the absolute limit. What's your inspiration behind that? Why are you like willing to push the envelope that other car owners aren't?
There are some people that view cars strictly as an asset class. So I'm going to buy this Mercy SV and I'm going to drive it on Sundays, right? And that's great. Like I never want to tell anybody what to do with their cars, but I refuse to buy a car and just let it sit.
Right.
Like I bought it to enjoy it and have that experience. And so like this Storado is supposed to be an off-road Lamborghini. And I'm like, so let's go kick the crap out of it off-road, dude. Like that's what Lamborghini says the car is. And so I've torn off the entire underside of the car. I blew a motor because I sucked so much dirt in through the intake. Like, and so those are like moments in time though, that the experiences that I've had, dude, like no one else has had. And they're so fun, like so fun. There's a wheel up here on the wall that you guys can see that the cameras can't see. That wheel that is all shredded is from my Ferrari F40 that got hit by a semi truck. That is a moment in time. No one else has had an experience with a Ferrari F40 getting hit by a semi truck, right? And so that's like a thing that I will keep forever in my garage because it's just like this magical experience, dude. It sucks, right? Like it sucks that my car got hit by a semi. But dude, the experiences that you have and the people you get to meet and the places you get to go, that's what the car culture is all about.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
And another question I have is like, what have you seen as far as like the car community? I've seen it's growing like crazy. Car meets are growing. More people are buying cars. Like over the last, I would say, decade, what have you seen as far as growth in the car community?
Well, I'll tell you about Utah. Okay, so 10 years ago, I had a lava orange GT3 RS, Porsche GT3 RS. Everywhere I went, this is just 10 years ago, right? 2016. Everywhere I went, people stopped me. They harassed me like, oh my gosh, look at that car. I think that the Utah car community has probably grown by 20 or 30x over the last 10 years. Because when you go to I was at Cars and Coffee on Saturday morning at Southtown Mall. The place is packed and there are unbelievable cars everywhere. Like, so my Aston Martin Valkyrie, it's a $4.5 million car. There was a $5 million Koenigsegg there. There was a $3.5 million 918 Spider there. There was like cars that didn't used to exist in Utah. You'll see just driving down the roads now. And it's crazy. Like almost every day when I'm driving around, like I saw a Ferrari GTC Ford Lusso just driving through the rain yesterday. It's my buddy Raul. Like, they're just, people love cars. Like this car culture, this car community. I have a lot of aspirational followers. Like, dude, how can I get where you are? Because I want to drive a cool car. I think using a car as a goal is a perfectly acceptable thing. I'm going to work my tail off so that I can afford to drive a super cool car. And I think that's great, dude. I'm like, use that as leverage, use that as focus, use that as determination to get where you want to go. And I think that's exciting about the Utah car culture.
What was the poster car? Like how you said, having a goal car in mind when you were, in your 20s building your business, what was your poster car? What was that car for you?
So I've it's a little less sexy. I've always been a Porsche guy. So like Porsche 911s. When I was 16, I pulled up to a gas station and there was a 993 Turbo. It was a red Porsche 993 Turbo. If you guys are familiar with those cars, absolute dream car. I'd never seen one before. They didn't exist. And I walked up to the guy. I was like, sir, can I just look at it for a minute? And he was like, dude, get away from my car. Like kind of shooed me off. And I know who this guy is. He was like a totally arrogant doctor. So when I'm at a gas station now and a kid pulls up and he's like, holy cow, I've never seen that car before. Dude, tell me about the car. I'm like, well, get in it, And I'm like, dude, have you ever sat in a Mercy SV or whatever? It doesn't even matter. I'm like, dude, hop in the car, because I want them to experience it. They're obviously enthusiastic about cars and they're just pieces of metal. At the end of the day, dude, what if he scuffs the door so like getting in? Like, I literally don't care. I don't care so much that I've trashed this, Lamborghini off road so many times. But to me, it's more about like the impact you can have in life and less about the things you can accumulate.
That's something I've always admired about you too. Is I had a similar experience, but when I was 13 years old, I've always been a big car guy. And gas station experience, there's a guy that had a 458 Italia, and never seen one in person. Obviously, never been in one. And sitting in that vehicle, like, changed my life, changed my perspective on everything. So it's like I've always admired that you are always willing to let people jump in your cars or take photos or do whatever.
Yeah. I want to share those experiences, and hopefully they're inspirational to the community around me. Yeah.
Has there ever been a time where you went to go, like, you had a car in mind that you were like super excited about, you're ready to purchase it, you go actually see it, and you're like, never mind?
So I have had a couple of experiences where I was really enthusiastic about a car, and then I got it in and it was super disappointing. So a lot of the cars that I buy, you can't go test drive. Even me, like they kind of restrict test drives because they're either ultra low mileage or very exclusive cars, right? So I think, and this is gonna, I have haters on the internet because of my opinions on cars, and the newest Ford GT is the best looking, best designed, most insane supercar that an American car company has ever produced, and they put the worst motor in it, like an EcoBoost V6 motor in this crazy supercar. The whole car's carbon fiber. Like, when you look at it, it is low slung. There's like holes through the entire car. You can see through the car. I bought it because I thought it was going to be insane, and I get on the highway and I'm like, this is the most disappointing car experience. They should have put, like, the previous Ford GT had a supercharged V8 in it. That's what they should have put in that car. Instead, they wanted to showcase that they could do this, EcoBoost twin turbo V6. Any supercar that rolls a V6 is not a supercar. Like, that's my humble opinion, So I know I'm going to get hate for this. Like, I just know, like, saying that right now, dude, like, rad car, but you'll see it in the pricing on these cars. So the 2005 Ford GTs, they stickered, I forget where they were, 250, 300 grand, something like that. It was a lot back in 2005. They are approaching $1 million. In many cases, they're selling for more than the newest version of the Ford GT, because amazing design, supercharged V8, and the new one looks insane, but has the worst motor you could have put in the car. And those Ford GTs now are mostly sub $1 million. And in some cases they're selling for less than what they stickered for. It's like crazy.
What was like has there been a vehicle you ever purchased and you were like, this was the worst decision of my life?
So I bought, and this is me as an Aston Martin fan. So I like Aston Martin. Like, I think they make beautiful cars. I bought the very first year Aston Martin DBX. It was the biggest piece of crap that you will ever, and they have improved everything on it. In fact, I just drove a brand new one the other day, the DBX S. And we're like 8 years into that product cycle at this point, and the car is unbelievable. But yes, that DBX was like, water was coming in through like the door, like it was raining, and I have like rain just hitting me with the door closed. I'm like, this is the biggest hunk of junk I've ever owned. And so I got rid of that car fairly quickly.
That's crazy.
That's insane. So we have a very polar opposite. Dylan, huge car fan, huge. You could sit here and he'd be like, oh my gosh, what's going, like, this is me. I'm kind of sitting here like, I don't know half of this stuff, but if I wanted to learn more, what's a good route to go to, like, start learning about, car history and getting more of a knowledge on it?
That's a good question. Social media obviously plays a huge role. And in fact, they say Amazon.com is the largest search engine in the world. Like, more purchasing decisions start at Amazon.com. You think it's Google or whatever search engine you use. It's actually Amazon. We have found, especially because I own a finance company now, we have found that the majority of the buying decisions that happen around cars start on social media. So that's what the data shows. And so you'll see a cool clip of a cool car on your Explorer page or whatever, and you'll go down this rabbit hole, dude. And the algorithms are generated or designed to just show you things that they think you want to see. And so you can do a lot of car research just by perusing different social media kind of channels
that makes sense.
Around cars. So that's like a really good way to get into the car scene. You can get unfiltered takes like SLC Scoop. You guys are posting real time stuff, right? So like you can get on and you'll see somebody driving or test driving for the very first time, the Lamborghini Temerario, dude. Like it's not, you're not going to wait until Motor Trend or whatever classic car reviewer comes out with their magazine. You can see it in real time. Like, holy cow, this is the first time someone has ever been exposed to that. So that's what I would advise. Yeah.
Easy, simple.
Yeah.
If you were to go back and think about your mid-20s self, what's something that you think you agreed with then, but moving forward into the future, you've seen success, you've created this persona. What is something you no longer agree with that you agreed with then?
Oh, that I no longer agree with. I think the problem with today's culture is that we tell young people to stay in their lane. I think it's like, hey, you're young, you don't know anything or whatever. That is absolutely patently false. The very largest businesses that are in existence today, think Facebook, Microsoft, whatever, they were all started by either teenagers like 19 years old or, early 20s or whatever. Dude, the sky is the limit. Do not ever be limited by your youth. You know what I mean? And I think that's wrong. I think we're telling people the wrong thing, and it was told to me, like I'm starting a business when I was 22 and people were like, you know nothing, you can't accomplish this or whatever, and sure enough, I did, and I can, and so I think the differentiator with somebody that is young is you're largely not married. You don't have kids. You don't have a big mortgage payment. You don't have car payments. You don't have, school payments. You don't have to be at baseball games or whatever. Dude, you guys have the ability to be fearless. Failure, it doesn't even matter if you fail because you can instantly pick up the pieces and try something again. And so I think one of the things that was told to me at a young age was like, you can't do certain things. That is totally false.
Speaking on kind of the failure thing, what's something that you've failed at that kind of got you to where you are, like kind of actually helped you more than actually hurt you?
Yeah. The only way you know that you're going the right direction is when you go the wrong direction. And so sometimes trying something out, we were talking about this before the cameras were rolling. You guys have a bunch of different variants of production that you're going to be doing at SLC Scoop, right? Like we're going to do a weekend recap. We're going to do whatever. Like that might be the next best thing that you guys do. Your recap at the end of every week might be the most watched thing that you guys have done so far. I tell my entrepreneurial friends, you don't know where your best new product is going to come from until you try it. And so, I look forward to seeing like you guys have created something amazing, but I don't think you've created the best thing yet. Yep. And I think until you try the next best thing, you won't even know it. So, if you're going to just sit there and do the same old thing every single time, then you're going to get the same exact result that you guys have had. But to blow up, it's about trying new things.
Absolutely. And what would you say to for risk management? What do you think set yourself apart from, your peers at a young age or your family? Like how you said people were kind of doubtful when you wanted to start a business at a young age. What was that risk management for you that didn't give you, fear to take that step?
I have an extremely high tolerance for risk. So I think it's largely a self-belief thing, like believing in yourself that you are able to accomplish what nobody has accomplished before. Like starting my finance business, dude, 18 months ago, I had never underwritten a car loan before. Today, we are basically the fastest growing car finance business in the entire United States. And that's happened in 18 months. We're about to announce a huge capital raise, one of the largest that Utah has ever seen. Dude, 18 months ago, I knew nothing about this space. Today, I am like a leading expert in this space. And so, I think believing in yourself, that even if everything kind of, combines forces against you, you will overcome it. You will wake up the next day and you're like, hey, I learned something yesterday that I didn't know. Today, I'm going to implement that and I'm going to do it better today than I was doing yesterday. And if you do that again and again and again, that compounding force over time will just make you successful. Like I will kill any problem that stands in front of me, I will overcome any hurdle. There's a lot of people, by the way, that have tried to do what you guys have done. There will be a lot of people that will come that will try to copy what you guys are doing. You guys will stay so far ahead because you know that what you are trying to accomplish, you will accomplish, and you will overcome. And it's this interesting self-determination. Most people want to go to work and they want to get a paycheck every 2 weeks. And they don't usually think about work when they go home, right? I mean, how often are you guys thinking about what you're trying to accomplish?
All the time. Literally
like
all the time.
24 hours a day,
Yes.
right? Like when you go to sleep, you're thinking about it. When you wake up, the first thing you do, like you were checking your phone right before we started because you're like, dude, if the world is on fire, I got to capture it. You know what I mean? Like that's different than a 9-to-5 job.
100%.
And with that being said, without having that 9 to 5, I feel like you don't get that sense of clocking out. How over time have you managed that?
I think it's a distinct advantage that you guys have as entrepreneurs and I have as an entrepreneur in that there is no clock. Yep. Whatever needs to get done that day, no matter the time, you're going to do it. So you think about the amount of hours that you guys put in. I bet you guys work 80 hours a week, right? Like you're constantly working. Even if you're at a basketball game, like you're probably in some sense working. The amount of hours that you guys put in compared to your competition that just works 8 to 5, you will naturally be more successful than them. Like it will just come because of it's a numbers game at that point. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm kind of curious on, because you have your YouTube, you have your businesses and stuff. Has there ever been, what was like one of the first moments in building everything that you were like, oh, this is working? Like the aha moment of like,
yeah,
oh, we're cooking with oil right now.
Dude, when I got to hire for positions that I hated doing, so like I hated accounting, but like you guys know, like you gotta pay bills, yep. Right? And so I hated doing the accounting. I hated balancing the checkbook at the end of every month. And once I was able to hire people that knew how to do that really, really well and just focus on what I was really good at, which was on the sales and marketing side, that was the day that I was like, oh, like I can finally breathe and actually do what I know that this business needs done, you know? And so it took me a number of years to get to that point though, where I had a whole team of people that even if I wasn't, here's my litmus test for it. Even when you're not at work driving the business, does the business succeed without you there? Right. Like that's that moment when you turn that corner, dude, where it's not just about you guys running the business, it's about the team that you work with every day. That's when you know this thing is going to be hyper successful. Yeah.
I had another question too about, I kind of wanted to go back a little bit more to the charitable stuff. I know we kind of veered off, but how did you what motivated you to start doing such big charitable events? Because I mean, I see charitable events weekly, monthly, right? But I've never in my life seen something quite like you do. How you pose up a car or you make it about the community and the people and sharing something together, whether that be a car reveal. Like what did that for you?
So this was early in the days of my previous business. My business partner and I it was like us and two warehouse guys, right? And we didn't have any money, but we did have time and our own personal kind of resources that we could go. So we started going to the Utah Food Bank. I feel like something like we read something and the food bank needed helpers or something like that. And I'm like, dude, well, we don't have any money to donate. So let's just go. We called them up and I was like, how can we help? And they said, we need people boxing up food for these families that have no food, right? Like these kids, some days these kids have no food, like no meals. We're like, crap. So once a month, we would take a morning and just me and my business partner would go. And we did this every single month. And then one of our employees came to us and they're like, dude, where do you guys go? Like, because you're always here at work because we were working long hours. But once a month, you guys will leave. And we're like, oh, we go box up food. And they're like, well, can we come? And I was like, dude, we had never even thought about it before. And so pretty soon as my business grew, I wound up having like 700 employees. And I turned all of our charity events over to my employees because they're like, dude, we don't just want to do once a month. We want to kind of have a continual calendar of events. It was the number one culture building thing we did at my business in that people wanted to come work for me because our business did good in the community and they would hear about it. They're like, oh dude, I saw that thing you guys did for that school, or I saw that, fundraiser you guys held, or I saw that book drive, or I saw that whatever. And so I just turned it over to my employees. The only rule was it had to be an actual charity. So a 501c3. There's a lot of good things you can do in the world, but an actual 501c3 usually goes through a screening process where we know that they're not going to steal the funds or steal whatever. And so that was my only rule. And so we did like dog charities. We did environmental charities. We did, schools, sick kids, obviously the Make-A-Wish and Utah Foster Care Foundation. And so I turned it all over to them, but dude, it was the glue that held my business together. People loved working with me because not only were we running a successful, profitable business, but we took those, profits and that success and we amplified it in our community. I had 7 offices around the world every single one of those offices saw what we were doing and asked if they could do it. So in Brazil, in Vietnam, in China, in Malaysia, in London, we all did charity work as a company. It was rad.
That's awesome. And like, with that being said, like, I'm curious, let's fast forward 40 years in the future. If your grandchildren were watching this podcast, what's something that you would like to instill in them?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. Never underestimate the impact that you can have. And so, and that means from a community perspective, it means from a business perspective. The wing of my hospital, what we do at Primary Children's is if your wife is pregnant and you find out your baby has like an abnormality, like some health issue, we can actually go in, our doctors, not me, okay? Like I don't do any of this. I just support and fundraise. Our doctors can go in and they can correct in utero. They open up the mom, they open up the womb, and they can fix the baby in utero.
Oh, wow.
And they will sew the baby back up. They'll sew the mom up, and then the baby will the baby will come, and the mom will give birth to a happy, healthy kid. And that, dude, if you talk about, if you look back 10 years ago, like, I don't know that I was even thinking along those lines. Like, what impact can I have? We have 600 babies or patients in kind of in rotation that are being seen by my fetal center every single year right now. And this didn't exist in the Intermountain West until we propped it up. And so you're thinking SLC Scoop, you guys are going to become the #1 media foundation, but like actually what you guys can do to leverage kind of what you guys have built can extend far beyond just what you're doing. So like, I'm not a doctor, but I did, my wife and I had a child pass away from something that is today curable. And so, but it didn't exist in Utah, dude. And I'm like, why doesn't this technology exist in Utah to help families like mine? And so it took us 4 years. We put together this world-class team of surgeons, administrators, everything else. And now it exists. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, the sky is the absolute limit for what you're able to accomplish. And the way I think about it is I'm like, okay, that's 600 families every single year that will be affected by our fetal center. And dude, is one of those kids the next, the next pope is one of those kids, I don't know, like what will those families wind up doing with those kids that are born healthy because our fetal center exists. And it's exciting to even think about,
I didn't even know about that. So that's super awesome.
Thanks.
So,
Thanks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah. What's something you've been very successful? You share a lot about that. What's something that you haven't quite achieved yet that you're still kind of chasing? Or maybe is there a car that you're chasing? Like, is there anything specific that you're like, you haven't obtained that yet? And that's a goal of yours that you're actively going after?
Yeah. So I have a few personal goals. So here's one thing we haven't talked about in this podcast. So I'm very involved politically. I'm very loud politically, actually, in certain places. I'm not really on Instagram. There's this famous quote from Michael Jordan. He's selling Jordans, right? And I think Michael's a Democrat. And somebody comes up to him and they're like, dude, why don't you advocate for this Democrat thing? And he's like, well, Republicans buy shoes too. and at his core, he's a capitalist, right? And he's been able to do a lot of good in the world through capitalism. And he didn't want to alienate any particular base. However, if we don't make our voices known and people listening to this, whether you are a Democrat, an independent, or a Republican, you should make your voice known, because if you don't, someone else will, and the outcome might not be what you want it to be. So I have a strong desire to run for higher office here in Utah at some point in the future. The thing people have to understand is I might have a different point of view than you have, but I think we're all in it for the good of what we see in our world, right? And so we just might have different ways of getting there, or different belief system entirely. So like, I've had business partners that were extreme left, like socialism left, right? And I'm I'm like very much on the right side of the political spectrum, but we worked tremendously well together to accomplish common goals, And so, dude, I will take a good idea no matter where it comes from, And I think a lot of the world isn't that way right now. They're just like, if it comes from the right or if it comes from the left, that's a terrible idea. I totally don't believe that. I do not think a political party has a monopoly on good ideas.
What is the most overrated car brand in your opinion?
Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah, let's stir the pot.
Oh, bro, this will absolutely get hate. Okay. So easily the most overrated car brand, and I'll tell you why as well, is Koenigsegg. Okay. Do you guys know Koenigsegg? You don't know Koenigsegg.
No
Okay.
idea. You're
Dylan
looking
knows
at me right
Koenigsegg.
now.
Okay. Okay. So like Stradman, he's a big local car influencer. He's a good buddy of mine. He had a Koenigsegg. His ran actually pretty well. So I bought a Koenigsegg. It probably broke down 30 times. This is, it's very well documented. They make some of the most extreme, insane hypercars on the face of planet Earth. They have this entire rabid following, millions of people following them. They make multi-million-dollar hypercars. The problem with the company, I think, is that because they are a small hypercar manufacturer, they don't have the same R&D budget that like Porsche has or whatever. And so they make stuff that breaks. But the problem is it leads to really bad customer experiences. I talk about this with my employees all the time. Like the customer experiences that's the thing that will keep coming back, that will keep people coming back to your company over and over and over again. It's also the thing that will piss people off the most and never buy your product ever again, dude. So like it is very unlikely that I will buy a Koenigsegg ever again, even though I can, even though I recognize how insane and cool the cars are. They're just totally overrated for what they are because they have serious maintenance problems. Like, why would you want to spend $5 million on a car that is in service the vast majority of its life? Dude, there's some of these cars that will never even see the road, or very, very few times they'll see the road. And the moment you take it on the road, something else will break and you got to ship it back to the service center. I'm like, dude, what a terrible customer experience, you know? So everybody loves Koenigsegg. And I love the idea of Koenigsegg, but in practicality, they're totally overrated. Yeah.
What would you say when you finally exited your business? What was that big car purchase? You're like, I have to have this vehicle.
So the big car purchase. So I bought a 918 Spider because that was always on the list. But dude, the Ferrari F40 is like, you asked me about the poster car before, and I didn't quite answer that question appropriately. But like the F40 is the car. And I can testify to that because I've had two of them now. And my silver one is like the most epic Ferrari F40 in the history of cars. Like, I think it's the best looking car that has ever been made. And it was built in 1990, right? And it's built of like freaking paper mache. Like the doors are so thin. And if you were to get in an accident in one, it's a bad day because there's no airbags, there's no safety, anything. But dude, the driving experience, it's like a 600 horsepower twin turbo V8 strapped into like it is so crazy to drive. Like, and the looks and everything else. So that was one of my very big purchases. Yeah.
And your F40, that's a Le Mans, right?
It's an LM kit. So they're authentic LM. So the Le Mans car now is like I think they're $20 million cars. And they made, I think, I'll probably get wrong on the numbers here, but I think they made like 6 of them or something like that. Like, so they're all tucked away in private collections. They'll likely never see the road again. So the guy that owned this car previous to me had 5 F40s. He was in Asia, and he commissioned the company that makes the LM kind of body kit and spec and all the parts and stuff. So he took a standard F40 and he spent a whole bunch of money converting it into an LM spec car, and that's my car now.
So to kind of wrap things up, like what would you say, what season of life is Supercar Ron in right now? Okay,
so I'm 46 years old. Here's the craziest stat that I'll throw at you guys today. So do you guys know what the average age of a founder is, an entrepreneurial founder? Do you guys know what the average age is? So it's 43 years old, almost my age. But do you know why? When you think about it, if someone's been in a space for 20 years of their career, they probably know more about that space than anybody, right? Let's say you're a car salesman and you've done it for 20 years and you've made all those relationships and connections and stuff like that. You can just go open your own car dealership because you have all the tools needed to sell your own cars. You have them. You have people to supply you cars. You have people that will buy cars. And so the average age of founder is 43. So I'm building my second unicorn. So my first company sold for more than $1 billion. I think this business within a very short amount of time will be worth more than $1 billion. Like, we're already rapidly on and it's because I've got 20 plus years of experience of building at scale large businesses and investing into large businesses. And so I already know the pitfalls, that can come from building a big, fast growing business. And I just won't do those same mistakes again. And so I have a distinct advantage in that I've done it before and I've seen other people do it and I've been part of other people doing it. And so, we're building something really cool, really unique here in Utah. So that's the season of life I'm in, is like, I don't have to work, but I choose to work. And so that's kind of the season that I find myself in, because I derive a great deal of personal value from rolling up my sleeves and like solving problems and building something. And the even cooler part of this, and Dylan, you didn't know me when we had that 40-minute phone call, but you had a problem and I liked what you were doing. So I gave you 40 minutes of my time because I know you are going to crush it, dude. Like I have so much faith in what you guys are doing. And the most exciting thing for me as a 46-year-old here in Utah is watching other people win. Like that brings me so much joy, I don't want to waste my time with people, but where you can just sense a hunger. You can sense this hungry, like, dude, you guys are so hungry to create something that is amazing. What I don't want to take are the phone calls that are like, hey, tell me what to do. I'm like, dude, I don't know what business you should start. Honestly, I don't know. Like people message me every day. They're like, what business should I start? I'm like, well, I don't know. What do you want to do? And it's like, oh, I love cars, or I love photography, or I love whatever. I'm like, well, then go find a way to make money in that space. But with you already had something. You needed a little bit of advice from somebody that had been there, done that, to this is what I would do. And I think that's actually all I told you, was like, dude, well, look, if I'm you, this is what I would do. And you did it.
And it solved my problem.
And it solved your problem, right? And now I watch you guys winning, and I'm at like the 30,000 foot level, and we don't talk every day, but like, that if you ever need advice from me, shoot me a text, call me, whatever, because I want to see you win. And that's the stage of life I'm in. It's not about money. It's about helping other people win. And so that's where I'm at.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
That means the world,
that.
honestly. Supercar Ron, I just want to say thank you for having us in your awesome bat lair. And, I hope we get another one down in the future. But until then, everybody that's tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course. Thanks.